Guys, what's up? It's Bobby K here, professional landscape designer. I'm going to give you 6 tips to help you design a ranch style home. And don't worry, if you don't have a ranch style, that's cool. I'll still help you out. Let's do it! Okay, so here's a house that was given me by a realtor. Now, as you can see, it's just a simple ranch style. There's nothing special about it. The landscaping is about as bland as they come. So what are we going to do to spruce this up? Tip number 1, I want you to remove those timbers or railroad ties. They're going to get rotted out. They don't look good, and it's just kind of nasty. Part of this is I also want you to rip out all the bushes in there. Why do you rip out bushes? Well, if they're not manicured, they're not taken care of, they look bad, they get burnt out, it is what it is. Now here's one of the things that you can do. If you want to repurpose some of those bushes, if some of them were in good shape, you shape them, make them as part of the design. You can design around those versus ripping everything out. Why do you want to do that? Well, it saves you time, it saves you money, and some backbreaking work. All right, tip number 2. You want to check out the architecture and work with it, not against it. So let's say you like a Japanese Zen style or an English garden, but your house doesn't really, it's not going to work. It just doesn't look like it. In this particular case, this house has some columns. I see more of kind of an evergreen or formal look. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't go native and have some perennials and different things, but you want to pay attention to some of the focal points and the features of the house in the first place. What's the color of the brick, or what's the color of the siding? Like I said, the columns in this particular case. Look at the fascia that's on there. Is there a shaker shingle? Is there a Tudor style? What do the windows look like? What's the trim around the windows look like? What are the colors? If the trim around the windows, let's say it's white, maybe you want to do like a white dogwood or some white azaleas or some white perennials, flowers, just ways to make it pop so that everything blends together. Tip number 2, don't work against the architecture, embrace it. All right, tip number 3, pay attention to the slope of the yard. What's the grade look like? Is it relatively flat or is it sloped in a couple of different areas? In this particular case, we saw where those timbers are. We're probably going to need some kind of retaining wall over there to hold the earth so that it doesn't erode during rains and things like that. It's not a huge one, but it's a cool feature and it'll look good. Here's what I want you to look at when you're putting in a retaining wall is look at the brick, look at the fascia, look at the color scheme. You probably don't want to put a terracotta looking retaining wall, and in my opinion, don't ever put a freaking terracotta retaining wall. They drive me nuts, they're awful. It's like McDonald's with the red mulch. Just don't do it, okay? Go earth tones on this bad boy. Bonus tip. When you put in the retaining wall, that doesn't have to be the end. A way to bring a little bit more depth to the design is carve out a little bed in front of the wall and drop in some plants. In this case, I think we put some grasses in. I don't have the design like right in front of me, but that's a cool way to bring some depth, some color, and a little bit more of a wow factor to it. So tip number 3, pay attention to the grade, pay attention to the slope. If you got to put in a retaining wall, make it cool. All right, tip number 4. This is my favorite tip of all of them. If you want something that's going to make your landscape stand out, you got to have focal points. What the heck is a focal point? A focal point is something that, in layman's term, it just gives your design sense of purpose. If you got a bunch of stuff going around and your eye just kind of wanders and doesn't lock in on something, a focal point, then it really doesn't pop and it's just confusing. So in this particular case, we have a couple ornamental trees. Got a planter, and we have a trellis in between the 2 windows. Now, here's a bonus tip for you. If you want to create something that gives your design a little bit of height and something cool that's outside of the norm, I think a trellis is really, really awesome. It doesn't work on all houses. In this particular one, up against the brick, I think it works great. The white goes with the white columns, the white fascia, like we talked about, color schemes. And I think that if you don't have a lot of room, a tree can be invasive and too close to the house. Trellis pulls off that height, and man, I get excited about it. All right, tip number 5. Anyways, with right angles that we've got going on with the retaining wall, you can create some depth with some curves. Like I said, we have that bed in front. You see how I got it curved and swing it around? Don't feel like you have to end that bed right as you start to hit the sidewalk. You can actually flare that out, bring it along the entire sidewalk, and it's very inviting. It's almost like when someone pulls out on that driveway, they open up the door, they walk in. As they're walking up the sidewalk, they've got that landscaped bed right along there. It's warm. It just brings them right in, almost like you're lighting the path to ecstasy. All right, you made it to the end. Tip number 6, have fun. I know that is cliche. I know that's corny, but the truth is you can get out there and you can start to feel overwhelmed. If you get in there, you put together a game plan based on these tips that I've given you, and you start to implement it, you will have fun, and you're going to start to really enjoy what you've created and how much you transform your house. Here's the thing. This design is kind of like the meat and potatoes of the design. Doesn't mean you can't go back later. Doesn't mean you can't add a couple more focal points, maybe a pot or two. Doesn't mean you can't put in more perennials, annuals, make it a little more on a native side. That's completely up to you. That's what's beautiful about landscaping and landscape design. That's why I love it so much, is it can go in so many different directions. I think that it makes perfect sense. This is why I do this, because as a kid, I love drawing. I love looking at architecture, and I never really put that together until later in life. I have a finance degree, for crying out loud. I do have a landscape design degree, but it makes sense why I love teaching this and why I want you to kill it and make your house look awesome. All right, question of the day. Which tip stood out to you the most? Which one did you like the most that is going to give you the most value? And let's talk about it. Put it down in the comments section and let's create a community around this. Let's find out, what are your focal points? What are some of the troubles that you have with your slope or grading or that you don't know how to tackle? And if you have some questions, send them over to me. I'll put my email address down in the link. I'll put my websites down in there. You can go and check out our work, and I want to help you. And if you really want my help, send me over some pictures. I'm happy to look at your design and even create one for you if it goes that way. I forgot. I owe you guys something. I said I was going to give you a cool bonus thing at the end of the video, and if you stuck around this long, you deserve it. We have a really cool planting guide. My install company is called Rescue Landscaping. We've got a 40-page planting guide. You download it, it's free, and it's gonna help you. Not only the 6 tips that we gave you today, but with the rest of your yard. Any questions you might have, I think that this thing is gonna be the solution. So, go there, check it out. I'll put it in the link below. Throw some comments in. Let me know what you think about the planting guide and what you used it for and what you created. You can send me pics, send me questions, whatever you want. I love that stuff. Like I said, if you're interested, subscribe. I got lots of videos coming out. And the final thing I want to leave you with is creation is everything. So go out and create.